going to make sure you grab these safety glasses, and you'll notice they're numbered, that belong to your station. So when it's your turn, if you're in station 1, you're going to come up, grab station 1 safety glasses, put them on. Alright, once you have your picture drawn on and you've gotten it clear coated so it's nice and shiny, you should have been working on your springboard. When you have your springboard done, your basketball game is ready to assemble, which means you're going to need a couple of things from your instructor. One is a piece of rim for your rim material. The other one is the dowel to put your backboard on. Now, your instructor will have pointed out where you can get a bottle of glue. They'll also have pointed out where you can get a rubber mallet. Now, they may be numbered. These aren't numbered for your stations. These are just numbered for how many we have, so you know which ones are missing if there would be ones not put away. But you're going to need to put these back so other people can use them. Most likely, same with the glue, it could be possibly numbered for your station, but otherwise you would put that back for another station to use it. Now, you're going to start with gluing your dowel down into those 2 holes. Now to do this, you're going to get the glue bottle, and remember, pull up to open these bottles, and you're going to put a small bead of glue inside this hole. So I let a little bit of glue run in there. I'm then going to go ahead, put the dowel in place, take the rubber mallet, and you'll hear it kind of change from a hollow sound to a thud. And if you get any glue, you'd clean that up. But you go ahead and hammer that down. You're then going to do the same for your backboard. But you want to make sure that it's nice and perpendicular to your base. So once again, I would go ahead, put a little bit of glue right down inside that hole. Don't need a lot, just a small, tiny amount of glue. Wipe up any excess. You can use your fingers, paper towel. You then would go ahead, line that hole up with your backboard. Same process, you're going to go ahead and take the mallet, lightly tap it, get it lined up. Double check to make sure that your backboard isn't crooked, that it's nice and straight. If it's nice and straight, you're going to go ahead, tap it down the rest of the way. You'll notice once again how the sound goes from a hollow sound to a much more solid thud. So it goes from a hollow to a thud. Now, once you have this done, you're ready to make your rim to put in the backboard, and you're ready to glue in your springboard. Now, what you're going to need for that is you're going to need to make sure you have your hot glue gun plugged in. Once your hot glue gun is plugged in, you can start by making your rim and gluing it in. Then you can go back and glue your springboard in. I'm going to show you those steps. Now, somewhere your instructor will have pointed out that you're going to have a pair of pliers and a piece of PVC pipe. Take the pliers that belong to your station. You go ahead and grab the PVC pipe that belongs to your station. First thing you're going to do when you get back to your table is you're going to take the PVC pipe and you're going to take this brass rod and you're going to bend it around the PVC pipe. Now, be careful not to put your finger on the end because it can be kind of sharp, so just a little bit away from the edge. I go ahead and hold it down with my thumb, and once again I would make sure I have my safety glasses on because sometimes these can spring off and fly off and hit you in the head. But I simply bend it all the way around the PVC pipe. So once again, I held that down, bent that all the way around. I then can let my partner do theirs. But you're going to end up with a little circle. I need to take these 2 ends and I need to bend them 90 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pliers right up to the edge of that piece and I'm going to bend it 90 degrees. Okay, so I made a little bend on the end. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. I'm going to go ahead and put the pliers right up to the edge, and I'm going to bend 90 degrees the opposite direction. So I now have two little bends on the end of my rim. I then can take my basketball game and I can test this fit. And so I go ahead and I simply put one in one hole, push it down, you'll just kind of bend the rim around, push the other one down in the other hole, and then you can kind of straighten your rim out. Now all I have to do is hot glue that in. Now when I get to the hot glue gun, I'm going to glue one hole at a time. So what I do is I pull one side of the rim out, take the hot glue gun, and I squeeze a little bit of hot glue in that hole, and I very quickly push the rim in place all the way down. Once again, I'm gluing one side at a time. I then would go ahead, let that cool for a second, pull the other side of the rim out, put hot glue in that hole. Very quickly, while the glue is still hot, push that other side all the way down. Then you can kind of go ahead, let it cool for a second. You'll get these little strings. Once it cools, you can pull and break those right off. Simply make sure it looks nice and straight. Like I said before, you can clean up a little bit of that glue. Now, the next thing, our springboard in. To do this, you're going to take off the paper. So I go ahead and I peel that paper off the springboard. You can take my hand, kind of clean it up a little bit if it needs it. You can also take a paper towel and clean up your springboard. But when you take this paper off, one of the first things you need to do is take these little pieces of paper and throw them away in a trash can. Now, what you'll want to do is take a look at, to make sure, your springboard, to make sure you didn't miss any chips or anything like that. And if one side tends to look a little better than another side, make note of that and make the nicer side the side that's going to go up. Now to do this, we're going to tip our basketball game over, and you're going to see we have the little angle right here that we have our springboard. Whichever side's going up, test fit it to make sure it goes in first. Okay, so the first thing I do is I make sure it goes in. If it goes in, you're going to take your hot glue gun and you're going to squeeze hot glue in here, and then you're going to quickly push your springboard in. But when you do that, you want to make sure you push in and lift up, because you want it to glue at the highest angle possible so you get the most bounce out of your basketball game. But so you're going to go ahead, take your hot glue gun, squeeze in hot glue all along the front. You don't have to get it all the way to the back, but just squeeze it along the front of your springboard holder very quickly. Push your springboard all the way in, down until it stops. Once again, lift up on your springboard to make sure you get the most angle possible. It's okay if some glue squeezes out on the side. Once it dries for about a minute, you're going to go ahead and just take your finger and peel that glue off. But you're going to go ahead, let that dry. Once it's cooled a little bit, you can wipe up those corners or that excess. If it gets on your fingers, it's not terribly hot at this point and it'll peel right off. Now, the only thing we have left is to make a string and a ball to go onto your basketball game. To do this, you're going to need to cut a string. Now, your instructor will show you where they have this laid out. In my room, right now, it's going to be back over here on this table. You're going to go ahead and you're going to get the scissors that belong to your station. And you can go ahead and cut this for you and your partner at the same time. Your instructor will point out a spool of string. It's most likely going to be sitting on a dowel, and it can be rolled out. But what you're going to find is there's going to be a part of the table that's clearly marked B-ball string, and right here it says start. All you're going to simply do is take this spool of string, unwind Put the string at the start, bring it over to the b-ball string cut, take your scissors and cut it off. Now if your partner needs one, you would simply go ahead and repeat the steps for your partner. So you would go ahead and take your basketball game and your string to your instructor, so that way they see that you have everything ready to go and all you need is the ball. Your instructor is going to take a bouncy ball and they're going to take this push rod and they're going to push it through the ball and they're going to give it back to you. Now they're going to have a few rules and stipulations when it comes to the bouncy ball. Your instructor has to do this for everybody that's in class. And the more times you have to do it, the more class time that is wasted. So what happens is the string gets pushed through the ball. So you're going to have a ball floating on the string. If the bouncy ball is bounced, thrown around the room, done anything except be used for your basketball game, you will lose it. What you're going to do is your instructor is going to push the ball through the string for you and they're going to hand it back to you. You are then going to take the ball and on one end, you're going to tie 5 knots nice and close to the end of the string and you're going to tie them together so it becomes one big knot. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you'll notice I got one big knot sitting right down there awfully close to the end of the string. You don't want to have a big hunk of string left over here. You want to tie that as close to the end as possible. You're then going to pull it down to the ball. And you'll see it's sitting right there on top of the ball, and then you just very gently pull that knot inside the ball so that it's no longer visible. It then is just simply floating on the string. You then can go ahead and set it on top of the hole and you're going to tie it to the rim. To do this part, you're going to need a pen or pencil. This is a lot easier with a partner helping you hold the pencil, but you're going to tie a knot, once again close to the end of the string, around the pencil and the rim because I want to create a little loop. So I tie it awfully close to the end of the string and I'm going to pull that knot nice and tight around the pencil and the rim. Now, if you have a little too much string left over up here, you could take your scissors and trim it off. You can also take your string and tie it one more time if you need to, just to kind of clean that knot up. Once you have all that done, you then can go ahead and test to see, do you have a working basketball game? You would then bring this up to your instructor and they will tell you where they want them for grading. Once they're graded, you can go ahead and practice making shots. But that's all there is to assembling your basketball game.